Test management within system test, and here we look especially at managing test activities and talk about test concepts. Test management is part of the development and engineering process and usually takes place within a project or an organization. And of course, it takes all the quality knowledge and quality management into account and applies that to manage all test related activities. So, as a summary, you can say test management manages the strategic planning, organization, monitoring, and execution of all test related activities. Let's look at the scope of test management, starting with the test organization. That includes the setup of basically everything from the idea or need to test something. And for effective test management, the structure of the test organization must be very clear. This includes defining the test concept, test plans, organizing the various domains, and ensuring proper quality. Then the workflow and processes. So that's related to the work that is executed by the test team, which should follow a defined workflow. Then you have to manage the test team itself, which is a group of individuals working interrelated on the various test activities. The test team can be a unit that is embedded in the project or in another bigger organizational structure. Then controlling and monitoring the test activities, which is the essential part of test management once the setup is done and the resources are in place. And finally, the test concept. So it is important to define it initially, but also then to work on it along the way and adapt it to the needs of the project. Let's look at the test concept in more detail. So test concepts are an outline on how to approach testing a specific system. And it is usually then applied for a test object or a test plan within a project. And amongst many things, 4 essential parts of a test concept are test levels, methods, strategy, and the test types. So the test levels, they derive usually from a complex system itself, which is developed on different levels, and the testing follows that. So you have usually like the component level or unit tests, then you test on a functional level, focusing on integration, and in the end, of course, you look at the whole product and test the system as a whole. Test methods, also known as test techniques, they have a very broad view on how to come up with test specifications and the way to test. So you have black box, white box testing, or experience-based testing. And then to refine that in the test strategy, you have different approaches on how to come up with testing and how to execute it. That itself is highly dependent on the part under test. So you can have analytical or methodological or reactive testing and many others, of course. And usually also it is in the end a combination of many test strategies. And finally, the test types. Test types are distinct through the test specification and how they are executed. And you have many different test types, for example, usability tests, acceptance tests, performance tests, or yeah, any others.